Often there's a difference between giving up and advancing in a different direction. That's how General Sherman put it, according to one of Chuck Norris's books. He quoted him in the official Chuck Norris fact book, where apparently he said, "We're not retreating, we're advancing in a different direction." That's a good spin to put on it. And honestly, that stood out to me over the last 15, 16 years since I first got that audiobook because it just makes sense. Yeah, sometimes retreating isn't always just running away from things. As an airbender, according to the Avatar Studios quiz, I do tend to avoid conflict and avoid things where possible and run away first. It may also have something to do with the whole run, hide, fight programming that we've all been taught in the emergency situation preparations, whether in the workplace or school. I remember that run, hide, fight was the one that they showed us during my college orientation. The second one, we had two. First, the one in June of that year, and then the one right before the start of the semester. But getting back on topic, sometimes in running away from something, you can find a new path towards what you want or something like that. For example, I ran away from I fled the Rocky Horror Picture Show full body cast early because I already said in the video that it's because in the past video it's because I felt kind of insulted by the fact that they didn't even let us into the auditorium until 9:30 and they did the pre-show, which I did not know to expect that pre-show. I really wish the ticket had just said 9:30 or that they'd been ready at 9 o'clock with that pre-show. Again, they wouldn't even let us into the auditorium before that. Yeah, I realized in that moment, one, after my horrible experience with Joker 2, and realizing I could have walked away from that any time, I could have just, I wasn't going to make the same mistake twice in the same month. And two, I knew that I would be even more worn out if I stayed all the way until the end and then had to de- and then who knows how late it would have been. I would probably guess it probably would have gotten out around midnight if I'm guessing on something a friend of mine told me, the one who introduced me to the Rocky Horror Picture Show. He says the reason that it goes that late at night is so that people can exit the theater and exclaim loudly how much they loved it. Makes enough sense. Yeah, I'd already. And again, I also made the mistake of, well, I wouldn't call going to the Museum of Science a mistake, but I made the mistake of spending the whole day there leading up to walking over to the Boston Common and going to the Guy Fieri restaurant for dinner. I actually watched Smile 2 for my Saturday movie last night, and I really wish I'd eaten dinner earlier that night and then gone to see Smile 2 in the at that theater, and then I might have recovered for Rocky Horror Picture Show by then because I spent all that time after my dinner reservation, just walking around the Boston Common playing Pokemon Go, taking in the sights of people in Halloween costumes, which is pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if it's gonna be enough reason for me to go back to the Boston Common on Halloween on this upcoming Halloween. I mean, I might just shut myself up in Henry's Ojo Dormitorio bedroom, and use my white noise machine to block out the sound of trick-or-treaters. The reason that went to uh, I went to the Rocky Horror Picture Show that night instead of just staying home as I typically do on Halloween is because I didn't wanna have to see trick-or-treaters or have to listen to them ringing my doorbell, eh, and my parents giving out candy. Yeah, if I had owned this house and I had all to myself, I would not be dealing with trick-or-treaters, and I would have a Ring doorbell so that I could press charges against anyone who committed attempted vandalism because of that. But we don't have a Ring doorbell, and my parents are willing to deal with trick-or-treaters. We'll talk more about this on in October. But yeah, uh, I don't see me leaving that Rocky Horror Picture Show screening early as retreating. I frame it as advancing in another direction, meaning I am just I learned my lesson. Don't spend the entire day at the Museum of Science before that. Leave later in the day, maybe 6 p.m. at the earliest. Leave earlier in the day. Don't spend as much time walking around the Boston Common. Maybe don't fill up at the Guy Fieri restaurant because I'll admit I felt really bloated afterward. I couldn't finish the Boston cream pie dessert that I bought. Yeah, $51 after the tip. Not a great value, or not a price I would pay on a regular basis. So yeah, that different direction in this case is I'm gonna try again at some point in the future, probably in the summer, or worst case scenario, I can say I tried it once and staying out that late at night really isn't for me. There we go. That's a good way to frame it. So yeah, I think I'm going to leave it here for the video because I can't think of many other examples. Comment down below what you think about retreating versus advancing in a different direction. If you have any examples of how you've run away, fled from something to advance in a different direction, if you will, or if you found a better approach, I'd love to hear it in the comments down below. Give this video a like, subscribe for daily videos, and I'll see you soon.